Hello and welcome to Confidence to Act. I'm your host, Rhonda Lynn, and today we are joined by Loretta Langille. Loretta is an ICF certified coach. She loves to help her clients thrive doing what they love. Her personal journey has taken her from feeling miserably stuck and tapping into her inner confidence and truth to shine her light more fully. She knows her clients have an amazing gift to share with the world, and it's time for them to shine too. Loretta guides her clients in building their confidence, intuition, self-acceptance, and courage to build their dreams right before their eyes. She does this through a range of holistic modalities, which I'm sure she's going to tell us about. She's customized her clients' needs and goals, things such as life and energy coaching, Reiki, guided meditations, conscious EFT, and meditation sound healing, which all sounds wonderful. So welcome, Loretta. Nice to have you.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Great. So tell us, how did you get started in helping people find and live their purpose doing what they love?
Well, the journey started with my own journey.
Mm-hmm.
So as you alluded to in the introduction there, I was at a point in my life where I was very stuck and miserable and unhappy in my career. And I had been in this career for over a decade, and it served its purpose. But what I found was I had a series of wake-up calls, and they kind of left me questioning my life, wondering, is this all there is to life? Is this what it means to be an adult? I just kept asking myself that. I had it all. I had the decent paying job, I had a home, the children, the husband, all of that stuff, but something was missing. And what I grew to realize was that there was more. And so I took a huge leap of faith and I left my job. And, that was a steady income for me. And I left that because it just wasn't feeding my soul. And I started to pursue my passions. And from there, in 2016, the itch to become a coach just kept getting louder. And so I followed that. And, again, that was another leap of faith. And so now that I've become certified and I've done a lot of my own inner work and, shifting my own limiting beliefs, the limiting stories I've had in my own head of I'm not good enough or nonsense that we all carry. And, obviously that work continues, it never ends. But now that I've done this work on myself, I've gotten myself to a point where I have tools I can help other people. I know how amazing it is to follow your dream and to walk that path. And so I just want to share that with others. And that's what I do in my work. And so I walk the journey alongside my clients because every day I'm building my dreams as well. I don't see it a dream as a destination necessarily. Yes, there are milestones along the way when you reach certain targets, certain things happen, but ultimately the path unfolds. And I think dreams were meant to be followed.
Sure. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So what is a wake-up call, and how do you know when you're getting one if that was the one for you?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think a lot of times a wake-up call, it kind of comes to people in ways that kind of shakes their world up, kind of rocks their world. And so like me, it had me kind of stop and question, is this what there is? Is this all there is? So if wake-up call can come in different forms, it can come as the death of a loved one. It can come as a car accident or, divorce sometimes, loss of a job. These kinds of things tend to rock our world. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the how do you know, you asked, how do you know if it's for you? And I think when you get a wake-up call, if you're questioning your life, if it makes whatever it is makes you stop and reflect on your life and the way you're living it, that in itself is an invitation in terms of wake-up call.
Sure.
And if you kind of could step back in that moment and say, hey, can I go back to my status quo right now? And if the answer is no, then there's your answer, right? And not everybody has a wake-up call, don't get me wrong. That was just my journey, but yeah.
Well, a lot of times it's maybe even too, there's a certain uneasiness that you have, right? Is that there's something you feel this nagging, or there's something just not quite settled, and you're looking for something to be different, right?
Yes, exactly. And then there's a little voice, right? That's like, oh, you
Yeah.
should do this, you should do that. And we ignore that little voice and then it gets louder, right?
Or as they call them in the movies, they call them guides. In almost every movie, there's a guide, right?
Mm.
And that guide is always kind of like saying things or doing things that kind of should help this story shape, right? Well, we end up having guides in our life too. Maybe there's that person that comes along and says, hey, you know what, you should do this, or you're really good at that, you're really good at that, you're really good at that, and you're not listening, but and right,
Exactly.
different messages that come through that eventually, if you listen and take action, you may find that you have a great career ahead of you.
Yeah, and I agree with that in the sense that, when you start to walk your path too, you'll get more of these synchronicities and signs, and like what you're talking about, people will just show up with oh, you should go here, you
Yeah.
should, try this, or, but it's true. It's can be kind of magical sometimes when you
like for instance, if people saying, you know what, you really should model, you have such a great look, you really should do this, or you know what, you are so funny, you should be an actor, or you should be a comedian, right? And then that inner voice is saying, oh, it'll never work, there's plenty of people like that out there. But what people don't realize is that that's a gift that they have that maybe they're supposed to pursue.
Yes, exactly. So it's like if you follow those internal nudges, you'll eventually be shown to your path. And like you said, the external people can show you. And then when I talk about your inner voice, I'm not talking about the inner critic. So there's two different voices in our head. There's the one that knows our truth, and then there's the you're not good enough voice.
Yeah,
so it's determining who's talking here, right?
yeah, that inner critic. So you have to calm that one down.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you do work with some actors. You're currently working with actors. And so tell me a little bit more about how clarity and mindfulness and the coaching that you do helps them in their career goals and their acting goals.
Yeah. So when I work with clients, either, actors or people generally going after the dreams, I find that we work through specific or common themes. So confidence is always a big one.
Yes.
Worthiness, self-love, self-acceptance, stepping into your power is a big one. And then of course, action steps, so if people are, having conversations about how excited they are about their dreams, that's great. But if you're not taking action to move your dreams forward, nothing's really going to happen for you. Those are sort of some of the general themes. Also, a lot of my clients who are in the field of, acting or just even going for job interviews, they love to have a session right before a audition, just to really get them in that confident mindset so they can step in feeling their best. So I've had clients take me up on that, and that seems to have made them feel better walking in, or just even texting, because I text with some of my clients. They'll text me in the washroom before they step in, and I just blast them with the stuff I know they need to hear. And, so that can be helpful. And then mindfulness and energy techniques, I use them in my coaching, but I also teach my clients how to do it for themselves. So it's empowering people to take control of their own energy system without necessarily having to stay on me all the time, right? Yeah. So I think that's a big part of being centered. And when you're centered and confident in who you are, it's easier to show up and shine your light. Because I think that's one thing that, a couple of acting clients have told me that it's hard if they're feeling jittery and nervous going into an audition. They're not really showing up fully as who they are because those nerves are getting in the way. So how do we get ourselves centered in that moment so that we can really express what's inside? Those
darn nerves. That's true. Yeah. How do you go about helping someone get more clear on what they should be doing or what their goals are in that particular career?
So I tend to work mostly with themes like we talked about: confidence, worthiness, those kinds of things. And so in terms of like what they exactly need to do, I don't tell them what to do because I don't have that expertise. And actually the benefit of coaching is that they're not being told. So what will happen is I will ask questions to help them figure out what's most powerful for me to do. For instance, maybe they need to go get their hair done. Little thing, but that might go on the list. Or maybe it's something bigger, like reach out to a really important contact, or get their website done or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, sometimes definitely, not having a good hair day can affect how you're feeling. You might be more thinking, oh, my hair didn't turn out the way I wanted it to today. And then you're thinking about that as opposed to just being, in the moment and doing your best.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So I think part of how I work as a coach, how most coaches who are certified work, is we create accountability. So a lot of times we have good intentions to take actions, but we get caught up with our lives or excuses or these kinds of things. And so there's an inherent built-in accountability that happens between myself and my clients.
Yeah,
and that helps them stay kind of on track, right? And if
things
things come up, then we look at why.
So the resistance or fear comes up, huh?
Mm-hmm. Excuse me.
No problem.
Sorry about that. Wrong fight. And I think resistance and fear are very, very normal, and they come up quite a bit, especially when we're chasing our dreams.
Yeah, for sure.
What do they say? If you want to meet your fears, set a big goal, because they're going to come right in.
They do say that.
Yeah, and I think it's beautiful that I have a relationship with my clients, but they can share that. You know what? I'm afraid of this. I'm doubting this. I'm having resistance. And I have energy techniques like the tapping technique that helps people shift that energy and understand and work through that energy. I'm not a believer in just put it aside and pretend it's not there. Well, no, it's not. It's there. It's going to show up. It's going to be in your energy field. So we help shift it through.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. And so how is confidence related to our successes?
Confidence related to our successes. Well, I would answer that question with a question. What is success?
Yeah.
How are people defining it? And is it an accumulation of stuff, or is it something deeper? Is it something more? And I think the more that we can, again, be our best selves, show up fully, confident in who we are, we're already a success in a way. Mm-hmm. Or if you can really own who you are and be okay with yourself and your life, you're succeeding already. And so when you create that alignment with your energy, you're now putting that out and you're going to attract better things. You're going to attract what's in alignment with where you are energetically. So what was your question about?
Just about the confidence
relating to success.
The confidence.
I think that's, you're not going to go after your dreams if you don't believe in yourself.
Right.
You're not going to put yourself in light if you don't believe in yourself. So I think this is all very closely connected.
Definitely. Yeah. Because especially presenting yourself in front of a lot of people when you do an audition, or even if when you're modeling, sometimes it's just in front of the camera, but oftentimes you may be in front of a group of people, or if it's fashion, you're definitely doing some runway. And so then, of course, yes, you're in front of groups of people. So you kind of, no matter what, you have to have the confidence to just go, hey, I'm doing this. I know your craft, know you, and just, present your best self. And then if something happens that is beyond your control, know how to recover from it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't freak out. That's not good.
You can trip. You could trip on you could drop a line. I mean,
you could choke on water like I just
on water. Yeah.
It's all good. We're human.
It's life. Yeah. We're real life here. Oh,
exactly.
Good. So, address a little bit more of, so you kind of have these techniques where you help people work through getting more clarity on what they want to do and where they want to go, and um, just kind of help them get really clear on what their love is or what they want to do, right?
Yeah, I think when we're exploring what we love, people come from different places. So this is not like a quick, simple answer, but I'll try to keep it concise. Some people from a very young age, they know what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very easy. Those are the lucky ones. And like me, I had hints of what I wanted to do. I liked a lot of different things in my personal story. And, when I left my job, I actually didn't fully know what I was going to do. I had ideas, I had dreams, I had thoughts, but I didn't have anything clear and concise. And so it had to unfold. And so it's kind of like that idea of follow your bliss. I'm sure you've heard this concept.
Mm-hmm.
You follow one thing and it leads to another thing and it leads to another thing. And you come to a place and you're just like, oh, wow, I never knew I would be doing this right here, right now. Isn't this amazing? And so I think that's sort of the idea of following your bliss in terms of the clarity with your path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm
not sure if you're looking for more there, but
no,
I think,
great.
clarity in general.
Just how do you get clear? So that's great.
Yeah, and I think clarity in general is a big theme. I find my clients will often come to me confused, or doubting, not sure if I'm making the right decision here. Because, when we're born, we know what we want and what we don't. But as we grow up, we get confused because we get all these different messages from our outside world, from people who love us. And so we sometimes lose our own trust in our own inner guidance and our confidence and our ability to trust ourselves.
And following our heart and our dreams and not what somebody else wants us to do.
Exactly. And I would say for my own story, I didn't necessarily follow my heart when I went into the dental industry, right? Yeah. That was a means to a job. But leaving that and where I am now, this is following my heart. And you feel more joy when you follow your heart. So I think it's one thing that I help people do is really clear that noise, clear the fog, and just hear what is your truth. And so that's what I do with my coaching questions. I don't tell people what their truth is. I might notice, I noticed when you said this, you cringed. What's that about, right? So I observe, and I might notice people maybe aren't really telling their truth. But yeah, when you connect with their truth.
So then it kind of helps them realize, and they think, oh, I did cringe at that, and they didn't realize.
Or they did because they had that little voice in their head. It was like, what was talking there? What was going on there, right? So I think the more we can align with our truth, the more power. That's how we connect with our power, right? Of who we are. And I think too, once we're more in alignment and centered with who we are and how we can show up, we're not as concerned with comparing ourselves with other people. Because when we compare ourselves with other people, it can really kind of shadow our own path. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, good. That's great advice, Loretta. I appreciate that. And did you have some special tips for our audience today that you wanted to share?
Sure. Yes, I have a few. Okay. I mean, there could be many, but I just I think 4 tips. Yeah, it's 4 tips in how to pursue your dreams.
Okay.
And I think number 1, we kind of alluded to it a little bit, is believing in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to be able to do that. And so I would suggest, trying this little simple exercise. You take a journal and you just write down all of your strengths, all of what makes you great. And don't be humble. To take your humbleness, just check it at the door for a moment, and just write down everything that makes you great, all your strengths. And if you're having trouble with this, or if you really are excited about this exercise, I also recommend reaching out to a trusted friend who knows you well, who could also share some more strengths and gifts, because we don't always see things in ourselves. We sometimes, lessen our greatness, if you will, and then celebrate those gifts. The second tip would be trying not to compare yourself to others and stay focused on your path. And if you do notice jealousy coming up, for instance, stop and be present with the emotion inside of you, because a lot of times when these things arise, it's because, there's something going on inside of us. It's actually not much to do with the other person. There's something going on within ourselves. We're not believing in ourselves. We're frustrated with our path, whatever it is. So just observing that and noticing that emotion. And sometimes we're jealous because, that idea of if you spot it, you got it kind of thing, So yeah, that was another tip. And then the third tip was, remember that you don't have to do this alone. So, we've talked about seeking outside support, and I would also add trying to make sure that the people you surround yourself with are supportive and they get it, they understand this concept of following your dream. And of course, you're going to have people who are critical, and who are going to say, oh, maybe it's time you give up this dream and go get a real job. And a lot of times those people are speaking out of love, but it's a fear-based love.
Yeah.
And they don't really get it. So, I think the more you can surround yourself with people that get it, the better it is, because we're not meant to do this alone. I really don't believe that. And the fourth,
the fourth, yeah, go ahead.
The fourth tip would just be that, this can be a marathon and not a sprint. So take it in stride. Take care of yourself and be impatiently patient, meaning don't wait for things to fall into your lap. You have to go out there, be your best self, trust that you're on the right path and it's leading you somewhere good, even if you don't always know where, because so many people give up on their dreams way too soon.
That's true. Yeah, they get discouraged or something comes up. So, well, that's great. That's good tips for everyone to have, and hopefully they wrote those down. By any chance, do you happen to have a favorite phone app that you use that makes life easier or simplistic for you, or that you just love and want to share?
Wow. I use my phone like most people do, more for utility, but I would say that the only app that I really is popping in my mind that I love is my scheduling app, because it just makes it so much easier. I don't have to do all that back and forth with people.
Yeah. And what is that?
They don't.
So is it just your calendar, or is it called something?
Yeah, it's called Acuity. I pay for it.
But Acuity, yeah.
It's worth every penny. I love it. It just makes it easier for me.
Yeah, I know there's Calendly is one of them, and then you have Acuity, and people can schedule appointments with you and look at your schedule and book a time, and super convenient, definitely.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Well, I know that you have a bonus that you would like to share with our audience. So would you want to talk about that?
I do. I actually have two bonuses, which you don't even know about. So
I'm
surprised you do. The first bonus is, as you know, we've discussed about, I do offer a free 30-minute consultation just to find out more about the coaching, to talk about your dreams a bit with me, and that can easily be accessed from my website. You just click the link to book into my calendar. It's very easy.
We'll put those in.
Yeah. And then the other offer that I have, I just created it today. Excuse me. Is that I'm offering 50% off my starter coaching package until April 24th.
Oh, that's exciting.
So, and the starter package is called Explore Your Life, and it's where we will look at your values, your dreams, your goals, all of that, and then do a little bit of coaching the first session, and the second session is pure coaching. So you get a taste for it. That way you're not feeling like you have to commit to something before you know what it is.
Oh, okay. That's great. So kind of anyone wants to clear the fog and figure a few things out or get some clarity, they can definitely do the 30-minute call with you, and then you're offering a coaching package 50% off. So that's fantastic. Appreciate that. So wow, very, very good. All right. Well, I certainly appreciate you being on today and talking with you, and that's been some great information. I know that certainly acting can be challenging, so it's good to be able to get our clarity on what our strengths are. Some people even like to go in clearer directions, like maybe more voiceovers or more commercial, or they really want to do TV, just film. So there's sometimes a lot of decisions to be made in this industry. So anyway, well, thank you so much for being here today. It was really fun talking with you, Loretta. And thank you, audience, for being here. Be sure and come back tomorrow for the next show, and we will see you tomorrow on Confidence to Act. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.